Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me. Today, I have some information for you that I feel a lot of you have been waiting for a very long time. So I'm very excited to bring that to the table today. And something I've been sitting on for a few days, but when I first initially received the information, it really filled my heart and got me really excited for all of you out there who have been kind of waiting for things to fall into place in the family dynamic. As an old soul, we're kind of always taught to proceed forward and not really let the opinions, beliefs, and others dictate how we accomplish our mission. But this is a game of polarity. There's always two sides to the equation. It's hard for that stuff to not affect us. And I know that me personally, I'll tell the quick story. So I originally started doing this YouTube work in 2012. I had made probably a few dozen videos, and I was kind of doing it on the down low because I didn't really know how people would respond in my family and also my friends. And I didn't really want that attention. It wasn't attention that I was looking for. So when people in my circle discovered that I was doing that work, I kind of shut it down. And I shut it down for years, which I'm okay with now because, that was just the universe's way of showing me that there were things that I needed to heal and that I would be more successful if I started that venture again in the future with more of a clean slate as far as healing work goes. So here we are. Everything has a plan, everything has a purpose. But to this point, many of you have been struggling with siblings, friends, moms and dads, people who are very invested in maintaining the structure of the story that they've either created themselves or that has been created for them. So when I go into my records and I ask for information from the collective, by the way, when I do that, it's me working with my Pleiadian aspect almost exclusively. I have really no reason or desire to venture out beyond that, unless the occasional Kryon or Archangel pops up. I'm good with the experience that I'm having, and most of this information is coming from my own personal sessions with them. So, anyway, back to the story. When I began doing this work again, some of that stuff, the not wanting to be seen and heard by families, not wanting to deal with the judgments that lie there, all of that stuff kind of came up to the surface again. But I decided to continue anyway because, I just felt like it was time and I had waited long enough. But someone specifically in my life, I was worried about finding out what I was doing. Someone who is very rooted in the belief system that they've been involved in their entire life. Someone who has a very different perception of reality and the way things that should be. With that being said, there are some common things, which eventually brought us together. But I was still being held back by the thought process running in the background that other people would find this work and they would cast judgment. I didn't really want to deal with that attention. So one day, my father comes into my office and he just kind of casually says, "So, you're making podcasts now and YouTube videos about spirituality and ascension and higher self? Those aren't the terms I would use, but is this true?" And, I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm doing that work. It's something that I love doing and something I'm very passionate about." And he goes, "Well, yeah, I would just see if you would admit it to me. I've already been listening to what you've been saying." And, he said, "It's different than what I would teach, and it's different terminology than I would use, but the most important thing that he said to me is he looked me very dead in the eye. And, if you've ever met my dad, he's a very intimidating, scary individual, very direct, very blunt. someone that you want on your team. So he says, listen to me, don't you ever let anyone tell you what to say or to tell you how to say it. Not me, not your brothers, not your mother. Nobody else gets to do this work with you. Nobody else gets to have creative influence over you. Nobody else is going to filter you from creating and putting something out there that is unique to you. And oh my gosh, that was the biggest relief and a tremendous amount of weight off of my shoulders, because at that point I was only doing the podcast, and I hadn't started doing these videos yet. It was literally right before then, and you know, it helped me propel forward without feeling like I was letting somebody down, somebody who I respected and loved and wanted to be proud of me, and somebody that I wanted to relate to on the highest degree, you know. And even before that, I had told my dad about seeing light ships and, you know, waking up to different beings standing at the foot of my bed. So he was still informed with what was going on, but he didn't really know how I would approach spreading that word and helping people understand their own experiences and, you know, generate more experiences of the same. So that was huge for me. So that's why I am so excited to tell you guys that when I go into my records, I asked for what we should expect for the rest of this year, what we should do in order to keep ourselves charged and engaged in our mission. And my Pleiadian aspect, who I have an amazing story about that I will be relaying to you guys in a future video, says to me, many old souls are still struggling with the judgments that are being placed upon them by family members who disapprove of the way that they are doing their work, the things that they believe, and the way that they go about doing that work. You know, it was then relayed to me that many will receive sudden validation from the family dynamic. So let's say your mother or your father, brothers and sisters, disapproved of what you're doing, and there's friction there, and even to the point where you feel like you're an outcast or you can't relate and you're not included to the same degree that you were before in the family situation. You know, expect sudden reconciliation. Expect for those people to come around and realize that it is just love that binds the two, and that is the most important thing going forward. You know, it's not beliefs, it's not the way we live our lives. It is compassion for each other's experience and also unconditional love just based on who we are. And people are kind of realizing that our time here is limited, and we don't really have time to mess around with excluding people we love from our experience based on their beliefs not completely lining up with us. So that's a big, profound change that is unique to the second half of 2021. If you've experienced this in your own personal life already, congratulations. You know, that's a very big barrier that's taken down, that's going to allow you to create from a place of no resistance. And as old souls, as much as we believe in our mission and what we're here to accomplish, you know, it's very tough to not consider all of those other factors that are involved in our situation. So it's very great to have people on board, maybe not necessarily with what you believe, but in support for you in whatever you choose to pursue. It really does make all the difference. And if that is the case for you, I'm very excited, and hopefully you enjoy the quick turnaround, because that is expected and that is a very high potential. And another thing that should be addressed, something that the guys really stressed, is many souls out there are feeling very disconnected from their mission. They're feeling disconnected from the excitement that they felt initially during their awakening. So Spirit wants you to really go back in time, you know, and examine that experience and how it initially caught your attention. And one thing you could do, I thought this was pretty cool, is listen to some of the music that you listened to during that awakening period. Because when you're awakening, you know, music is something that we all turn to help us describe and understand our experience. So going back in time and listening to music and recreating the excitement that you felt at the beginning is going to help you re-engage with the ascension process and the spiritual pursuit in the now. And feeling disconnected and unfulfilled is a bit of a byproduct of how emotionally exhausted everybody is at this time. So we're being asked to adapt to the fluctuating energies in very short periods of time. Those wavelengths have shortened significantly, so we're getting bombarded, you know, several times a week with a heavy influx of cosmic energy, when before maybe, you know, we would go through a 3-month period of intense energies and then we would get a cool down phase. Right now there's not really a cool down phase, and we are always being asked to recalibrate ourselves to an increase in energy. And at this point we've been doing it for a few years, and it's really starting to take its toll. That on top of the increased environment demanding that we expend our emotions to satisfy it. You know, this comes from jobs, this comes from uncertainty in the living situations or relationships that are being ended. And, you know, that reserve of emotions is what Spirit uses to get through to you, to bring you revelation, to bring you intuition, and to pique your interest when there's information that comes along that is worthy of pursuing. It feels right. It feels special when it comes from the guides, because it tends to hit you in the heart space. And that's how you know that the source is true and pure, and that you should follow that intuition with your full heart. So we've been asked to redefine our mission. We've been asked to take a look back and let that version of us who is just starting out on this process kind of bask in where we are now and how much we've accomplished. And, you know, we need to re-engage our interest in the right areas and stop letting these energy thieves demand that we pay them with our energy in order to simply exist here. We need to stand in our sovereignty energetically so that we can translate the energies that are coming through and apply them to consciousness where it's needed, whether that be collectively or to whatever individuals that you're interacting with in your environment on a day-to-day basis. You're influencing both things. So it's important to maintain your energetic integrity, especially in these times as the shifts are happening at such a rapid pace. Okay, we need to stay on top of our game. When we fall down, we need to get back up quickly. We need to respond. And all of that resistance and all of that friction that the world is throwing our way, we need to use that as our fuel going forward. That way we turn their game in on itself, and the more that they push back at us, the more powerful we become, and the more purposeful we become, and the more clarity we will have in our mission and what we're trying to accomplish. Anyway, a few things for you today. Very excited for people to rediscover the love of family members if you are one who has lost that. Very excited to bring into people's awareness that the emotions are a crucial part of this experience, and it is either food for the old energy or fuel for the new energy. So, with that being said, let us be the ones to steer the ship going forward. Some things to let you guys know: I have started a new project, something that I can throw together and put out there, maybe 3 or 4 times a week. But I'm going to go into my Akashic records and pull out affirmations based on the collective energy of the day. I'm going to bring forward the affirmations that are most healing and most needed for people to hear. And that project is called Healing Affirmations from the Akashic Records. And it's just a quick little thing that I can put out there, but I feel like the healing ripple effect that that's going to create is going to be very positive for anyone who's viewing. I also have produced a video that is on my website. It is called How to Access the Akashic Records, A Beginner's Guide, and it's something I'm very proud of. It is an hour-long video that is a complete rework and upgrade of the energy systems and the intent and the knowledge needed to open the Akashic Records, not just open the Akashic Records, be able to hold that space so that the information can come through naturally and in the detail that it needs to. So, a few things to look forward to. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you next time.